Hello everyone, and thank you for listening to my presentation. My name is Castellano Bueno, and today I would like to tell you about the importance of putting animal welfare at the center of animal behavior science. Animal welfare science started with a tight association with behavioral sciences. In its early days, people would assess what we now call welfare status based on mainly anthropocentric interpretations of their behavior. As time went by and some of the considered hard sciences developed and got interested in stress regulation, animal welfare switched direction and used these more novel indicators as the gold standard to measure welfare in animals and humans. But with further understanding of mental health in humans and the realization of the correlation between behavior and affective states, the question arose, if this is the case in humans, why wouldn't it be the case in animals? And indeed, that's what happens. And slowly, behavior was integrated back within animal welfare studies, but in this case, data-driven. However, regardless of the current knowledge and body of literature on how welfare and behavior can be so tightly correlated, this same integration does not happen in animal behavior sciences. Animal welfare knowledge is not routinely integrated into animal behavior studies, even when multiple frameworks and literature encourages to do so. The failure to do this can have negative consequences in the studies. It can cause a fail to understand the origin of inter-individual differences, increase the unreliable interpretation of results, and add to the replicability and reproducibility crisis the animal behavior field is currently facing. I'm going to now give a very brief example of a scenario where this could happen. Let's say we are trying to understand how different environments for the same species can have an impact on the exploratory behavior. We have group 1 and group 2 of different individuals in different environments. We have the same number of subjects, and let's say we have been able to control for sex, age, and rank if relevant. So we take these animals, check if they have any visible physical issues that might affect them in this exploratory behavior. We put them on GPS tracker and release them back into the wild. So just a routine methodology. In this case, we might find that in the environment A, there is less exploratory behavior than in environment B, and therefore we might conclude that the environment has indeed an impact on this specific behavior, which might, for example, have some further ecological implications. However, we might try to replicate this experiment in a few years' time and fail to do so. In this case, we might hypothesize that time had an impact on the environment, and for example, we might try to replicate and understand this. However, the answer might not be in the environment, but on the welfare state of these animals. And if we were to take a closer look, we might find that the ratio between the positive welfare state is different between the two conditions. We might find that some of the subjects in group A have a negative affective state due to, for example, early life experience or exposure to acute or chronic stressors. When in the group B, we might just have a few individuals with negative affective state. Ideally, we might be able to control for these different inaffective states if we are able to identify them before starting the experiment. And after doing so, the conclusion might be different and say that indeed there is no difference between the exploratory behaviors in the two conditions. However, in many cases, identifying the correct individuals with the affective state of interest before starting the experiment might not be possible. But we might be able to integrate a factor that investigates other behaviors that can give us information about their affective state so that we can include it in our analysis. Integrating welfare knowledge might help decrease expenses and decrease the unnecessary duplication of studies. And in the case where we are using captive subjects, it would also decrease the number of subjects and therefore support the 3 years. But how can we do this? We will need to consider if the behaviors in our study can be impacted by exposure to our life, acute or chronic experiences. We need to investigate if there is any evidence associating our focus behavior with the affective state of the animals. And if that's the case, how am I going to control for those? Perhaps through site design or through a statistical analysis. And finally, we need to ask ourselves if our interpretation of the results considers the potential differences in the welfare states between the individual animals. That is all from me. Thank you for listening, and please ask any questions you may have.